All right, so I guess we'll start by sorting. That way we have these folders first and then these files. And we actually already have the code for it, thanks to one of our viewers. And we should actually be doing this in the repo file. So before we map, here it is. Thank you, one man. All right, so this is the first parameter. And just so this is a little simpler, I'm just gonna split up the logic so it's up here. And then order by is coming from Lodash. Cool, and so now we have the correct ordering here. I'm not sure why these folders are black right now. You should maybe install only a specific one, I believe. So if not by default, we can add a Webpack plugin to automatically split it up so it doesn't affect the bundle size. What in the world is this? DLL. So this happened when I installed the Lodash plugin. Well, not the plugin, just the Lodash package. And I think we can use this import plugin on it actually. All right, let's comment it out, I guess, and see if it's not broken. All right, so it's unrelated to Lodash. I was about to pull code because we had a bunch of dependencies that changed, so I want to do that soon. On my local test, I installed only lodash.orderBy and its types. Cool. Yeah, I mean it shouldn't have. It wasn't causing the error, and it looks like that was just a weird Next.js thing. Nice. All right, so they're all sorted nicely. So thank you, 1min. That worked nice. I'm not sure why like those errors have been here for like forever. They should be gone. I feel like there was something else I was gonna do real quick, but I forgot. This down here. So we're gonna do kind of like a Reddit style, I think, and have another border bottom and then have this next button at the bottom that they can click on. Oh, flex doesn't actually exist on this type, but it works just fine. Nice. I'm gonna ignore it for now then. So we're just gonna move it inside and it's gonna be at the bottom. So now we're inside. You can add some spacing. I guess we're not exactly copying them, so there's no need to like get the spacing as well. It should be in the Y direction because I want it on the bottom and the top. So they say view more next. Like we want more like one rim here. And then we go to the next page. I guess we need a button for previous. Actually, the question is, should we do pages like this? Or should I just load more below? I think we want just like a load more and then it just kind of fills in below. So here, instead of updating the state, we're going to call fetch more. By the way, I think the issue next have with the UI build is from the rimraf in the build script. It removes the source index. Interesting. I could see where that could cause a problem. Oh, you know what? Well, I actually stopped using that and I'm using the watch command now, and it has been working a little bit smoother. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I think in general you're right. I think that probably was causing it, because now that I'm using the watch, I'm not destroying it every time. So we get fetch more from our Apollo component here. And then fetch more options. This is the find code review post. Find code review post query. Nope. Alright, so instead of storing this in the state, we're only going to store the topics in the state. And when we set a topic, offset should now become 0 as well. This is dicey, how we get this pagination to work with this. Alright, I'm gonna just first get it working the easy way. So the offset. So if I store it in the state, I want to store it in the state. I think I have to store it in the state. So we're gonna say this.state.offset plus this.state. And I think this is mad because we haven't added this update query. So this is our query. Why does it say it needs to be an input? What happens if I get rid of this? I think it knows what it is already. I don't think I need to add this myself. Alright, so if we don't get anything back from the fetch for some reason, we just return null. Otherwise, we're going to keep all the previous data. And what's the value of previous? Previous is an empty array. This is an empty array. Alright, so yeah, the types are messed up. I knew the types were messed up. But then it doesn't like it when I do that. Why? So I actually don't know how to correct the type here, so I'm just going to use it to do what I want. It may have to do something with GraphQL code generator. Looks like we can just add the types here, like that. Now this is unhappy. Alright, I guess we'll just do that. So we need to pass in the variables correctly. So now I'm not incrementing the offset is the only thing. So the offset's always going to be 0 in this main component. But when we fetch more, that's when we change the offset. Here we're going to update the state, increasing the offset as well. And then we're going to fetch it. And maybe the order of this is wrong. do like that. So we shouldn't be showing the load more button anymore. I think I'm going to go ahead and return whether or not we should be loading more. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Like, we're just jammed up to the bottom here. There's like a nice little footer space. Let's see what Reddit uses and uses a similar one. Alright, so they have padding of 40. So it's gonna be like 4 rims. So that should be margin. And it looks like we should add the margin at a higher point so it affects both things. Alright, that looks better. Okay, so in our find code review post here, we're returning just an array of items. So instead of returning just the array of items, we're now going to return, oh, we forgot to say. Looks like the limit's a required field. Okay. If limit is greater than 6, throw new error. Alright, so here's where we're going to return the response from this. And we're going to say posts is going to be an array of code review posts. And this is possibly nullable. No, we will just return an empty array actually. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to add an extra field here. And has more is going to be whether we have another page of items. Okay, so here's the trick to know whether we have another page or not, is we fetch one more than what the limit is, and then we only return amount of items they expect. So that's what we're slicing for here. And then to check whether there's more items is we say has more is equal to dot length. So there's another page of items if we were able, so let's say, so our limit is 6. So if we fetch 7 items, we're going to return 6 of them. We know that there's at least 1 left if we fetch 7, so there is more. So that's kind of like the logic behind that. So we just need to update our refetch query to match our new query. Something's not working still. Okay, so what that should accomplish is when I click on this, we should see the last item, and then there's no more pages, so it doesn't say to load more. Alright. So we basically have a decently smooth pagination now. At least that's what it looks like. about going back? So to avoid coding that, what I did is I made this basically an infinite list, except it's not infinite scrolling. So like we keep everything beforehand and then we load more below. So it's just going to become a really long scroll. So instead of paging like Reddit, we're doing more of a scroll of items. Which I don't know if we're going to get punished for this. This is something we could swap out at a later point, I think. I think I want to set up the query where we fetch the questions for the page. Which we may already have. Okay, that's what I thought. So we're only rendering the page where you create questions. If it's a data file. So now I want to render this. I'm going to refactor it into its own component where we can call it everywhere. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break before I do that. Oh, there's an issue with Argon too. What's the plan for today, Ben? I'm not entirely sure. What I'm currently working on is breaking out this into a component. So right now this whole page is kind of one thing, at least this part is. So I want to break it up into this into a component and this into a component. That way I can use it in a couple different pages. Ben, use hooks. I am using hooks. I don't understand why we keep getting this. It looks like this React stateless component type is messing things up, so I'm just going to just not use it and replace it like this for now. Seems to work smoother. Now that I refactored that, those two bits, I think we can move this. I can move this over, kind of. This is what I was thinking. We need to fetch the questions. That way we know which lines to highlight in the code. But we're going to actually fetch the questions in two different places, and it's going to be totally fine. And the reason for that is the Apollo cache. Spinner's been kind of janky. I'm just going to return null. And maybe we should, I'm pasting basically the same props here and here, so maybe I should abstract that. Why the word component in the name of the component? So this is kind of a special thing. We didn't actually write the code for it. It was auto-generated for us. This is what the auto-generated code looks like. And it uses this prefix and it generates a couple different things. Like you'll notice there's like a lot of things with this name. There's 27 other things. It generated us the query variables document. So that's how I know that we want the React component and not something else. Are you still staying by your cookies are better than local storage thing? I think so. What's your opinion of the subject? TBH, I never really understood what your reason was. I remember something with security, but local storage is isolated per domain too. For me, the biggest thing was, if I remember correctly, OWASP, these guys recommended it from the security front. And then B, I just see a lot more companies using storing that information in cookies. I'm not dying. Sorry about that. Tea just like went straight down the wrong pipe. We're gonna have to fix it at that error at some point. Okay, so now we're rendering like our question section down here. We definitely need to style that. Perfect. So I think the answer to this is the get function. Nah. I want the types. So I'm thinking this is being undefined, so I'm just going to add an extra check like that. CSRF is a problem specifically for cookies, isn't it? Because they're attached to every request by default, unlike tokens where you can explicitly include them. Yep. So yeah, CSRF only, I believe is only a problem when you're using cookies and not a problem if you're using local storage. and like adding the cookies or adding the token as a header. OAuth 0 apparently recommends to store in memory for spas. So is that for what about for persisting it? Is what we're Firebase and Amplify store tokens in local storage, I think. Oh, you got subscriptions to work? What ended up being the problem? Well, the in-memory thing is fine, but what we're talking about is the if you want to persist after the user were, for example, going to refresh the page, in-memory is going to get wiped out. Oh, good old restart everything and it works. But if you got an XSS problem, then you can't really blame local storage for it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you can use local storage, but you know you're susceptible if that vulnerability. But I guess your point is if you have that vulnerability, that's the least of your problems, I guess. Guess I'll worry about that at a later date. What do you call this pattern in the index file where you're essentially creating a component inline? So this particular thing, officially, because I always call it like render prop. Yeah, it looks like render props is the right name. Yeah. So the term render prop refers to the technique for sharing code between React components using a prop whose value is a function. I think we might be using what's considered a rendered child. There might be a different name for it. Okay, yeah, so the name is render prop. Is what you're looking for. That's what I thought it was. Wasn't sure if it was another name though. Yeah, I can get behind just like using another authentication provider and make sure you don't mess anything up. I think that logic makes sense. I don't know what I want to work on next. So I think I'm gonna wait on Vlad to style these. And this page. Can you add new code review? I had an issue with the time zone. I forget, what are you referring to? What are you doing now, by the way? Last life update you gave us was when you had the Bank of America internship. Yeah, so I'm done with school. I graduated in August. And so right now I am right now I've been basically working for myself, doing some freelancing, doing YouTube videos, and then also working on my side project, Saffron, which I've been just like continue to work on. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Yeah, no, that was my phone. Huh. Thought for sure you would have ended up at the big N. Okay, Google. Hello, Siri. And trigger everyone's phone. I didn't really pursue trying to, Oh, I see what you're talking about, one min. Let's see what happens if I do that as well. Oh, I that doesn't actually create it. The big N. Here we go, here we go. They should have a good definition for it here. Basically, like, very, very big companies. Elite companies, like, where it's like prestige to work there as a software engineer. I don't know exactly why Yahoo is on this list, to be honest. Yeah, some people call it Fang. Someone was calling it Manga yesterday. Did I break this, by the way? It's kind of frozen. All right, so I made it 5 seconds ago. So what you're saying is in different time zones, this code does not work. See you, Beepo. Netflix is the N, I think. Or is it something else? I think it's Netflix. Yeah, Tall Pants is right. We should have it, I believe in the database, it's stored as ISO and stored as, what's the universal time? I forget the name of it. Not Unix time. Not epoch, not POSIX. It's the other name for GMT time. It'll say in the docs for this. UTC, which I guess is Unix time. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're storing in UTC. So for example, well, okay guys, I could be straight wrong. So currently the time for me is 11:10 and I'm in Central Time. And when I'm fetching these items, I just created this one a few minutes ago and it's doing this. How do you check the time zone of the database? I actually don't know. So this createdAt column typearm is handling for us. I wonder if this is converting it automatically for us. Yep, that's true. Like, I have no idea how they're doing the createdAt. Yeah, dealing with times is very annoying. So let me look at what the type of the field is. So okay, so we're not storing a time zone with it, which we don't want to. We just want to have it as UTC time. probably have to look into the source code now. Don't tell me stuff like this, dude. But you're right. Alright, let's take a minute and see how hard this will be to find. Why don't you read our emotes when you need when you read our messages aloud? It's too difficult. So I mean, here's how I think it works: is it should be stored in the database as UTC. Doesn't look like it is. And then JavaScript on the front end should convert it to local time zone. Try harder. You're looking pretty angry there. That's 3 angry faces in 2 messages. Yep, create date column. Alright. So this doesn't really help us much. Can you react on L hyper? Hey Iris. Can you react on YouTube? What are you talking about? So it looks like create date is what we want to search for. Oh, we can see what the drivers. It looks like we should be looking at this in the driver. So let's look at the Postgres driver. No, it's 1 minute. It's not actually working for me. Like it should not be displaying these dates here. This is Central Time. I should be seeing the value in UTC on my channel on YouTube. Are you asking me to react to your channel on YouTube? I'm not sure what you're asking. Now. Suppose you're doing database stuff today. So I'm taking a look at it now because we're supposed to be storing these dates as UTC and we're not. So it doesn't look like it's anything wrong with typeworm. It just looks like typeworm calls now and now returns the time in my local time zone and not UTC. Yes. Well, we want to store the time without the time zone, which is what it does by default. So typeworm looks like it's in the right, and I think my database when I type now is not doing So Postgres now UTC. Basically, this is what we want. All right, so this is what we should be doing. Postgres has different types for or not different types, different time zones. It looks like that we have to set to get now at the time zone. So it looks like when you call now, it defaults. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to change this with Saffron as well then, because I'm definitely just using now like this and not the UTC time. That's weird. Why would they not use the UTC time by default? This is a wee bit cleaner. So do we just overwrite the default then? Yeah, I mean, now I'm going to have to change this. And basically anywhere I've ever done database stuff before, I made the assumption that now would be in UTC time, which is obviously not correct. Well, what's annoying is when it does the updatedAt, we're going to have the same problem, but we can't do the default value. I guess we should do update date default. So maybe I should be creating a custom column type like this. Maybe I should just use SQL. The problem with just writing raw SQL all the time is then you're wasting your time doing that, because there's a lot of redundancy in it. See, by not reading the kappa, meaning was lost. Is that better? But with SQL, you Google, how do I do X in Postgres, and you're done. Yeah, that's true. All right, so I think what I want to do to make this just like dead simple is to change the time zone of my database. I think that's what I should be doing. And then create a migration for it. Well, you heard correctly. We're about to create a migration. Reason we're doing a migration here is we're gonna only have to do this once. TS node. So let me write this down as a to-do that I have to do later. Change time zone of database in Saffron. Cool. You ever see the thing where people try to recreate Django or Rails in Node and how it never ends well? Well, I guess that's why we don't have any of those nice frameworks in Node yet. So before the server starts up, I'm just going to run migrations. P-SQL coponder. So I don't think anything should change here. All those should still be messed up. I'll read chat in 1 sec. I just want to check this, see if we fix it. So now when I create this new guy, he should have a good date. Dang it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work. So set time zone UTC did not work. What the heck? It does work. All right, we'll explore this more in a second. We got the dumpster fire that's sales.js though. A couple questions back to your index file. The nested gets excessive in the file when factoring out into a functional component which takes data as a props and reduces the nesting, improving readability. Yes. Also, aren't hooks supposedly to reduce the need for this? What's the story with hooks in Apollo? So I haven't used it yet. Apollo hooks. But there's this library right here where you can use Apollo with React hooks. Haven't tried it yet because I've been using the code generator, and the code generator will automatically generate my components for me, so it's pretty easy. We do get that like stacking, but I'm kind of used to it by now. By nesting, I mean literal indentation. Yep. Yeah, with hooks we basically get a nice flat file, which will be really nice. You don't need to set in the entity though. I don't, because the entity calls select now. So if I set the time zone correctly for the database, I don't have to change it in all those different places. And like this looks like it's good now. And if I scroll up here, it looked like my migration ran correctly. Just kidding, it didn't. Maybe I needed a semicolon there. It's not running my migration. Why not? Oh, that's why. Forgot to say await. I was like, why the heck is it not running my migration? It should have set the time zone. What do I want to do? I wanted to just create a new mic. Oh my gosh. No, I went all the way up to that. I'm happy with my name. It just will not run my migration. Got something wrong. Oh, I should have read the Stack Overflow more thoroughly then. Thank you for checking that, Tall Pants. You know, specify the location in the ORM config. Good point. That might be what's causing the problem. Thank you for that. Yeah, I called it migration. Thank you, Lulu. That was it. I was like, it's so weird. It's selecting it but not running it. So set time zone UTC. But it looks like that might not be good enough. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I have to go into like the Postgres setting files. Aren't you already using hooks somewhere in the project though? Why not using Apollo hooks? Even if you use the higher render prop, it makes the code messy to others. Yeah, I mean, I might give React hooks a try with Apollo. I haven't yet because I just haven't checked out the library, and I've been wanting to just like move forward with the project. So I'll just like using the setup we currently have. All right, let's see if there's anything else that's a permanent solution besides actually going in and touching the config. Yeah, the alter one looks like it'll do. I was just seeing if there's anything else. Because it looks like we're going to have to do that as well. All right, let's give that a try. Let's go to the use. UTC is a thing. So I called this database CodePonder 2. I basically just want to use what the current database is. I wonder if there's a way to get what the database name is. So we don't have the right privileges to do that. So I guess I need to give this guy more privileges. Change new date to return UTC const distance. Bet you thought you'd get work done today, but here you are fixing database time zones. That's correct. Alright guys, so like, here's the hack. All right, so we're just gonna set the time zone to UTC every time the database loads up. Thought I'd get work done today, but here I am watching Vin fix database time zones. Well, everyone's having an interesting day then. Are you kidding me? It still doesn't work. What? What in the world? Dillo Man says, "Hey all, so I just graduated college and I'm looking to start getting into website design and architecture. Most of my experience is with R and MATLAB, so I'm not sure where to start and begin when doing website stuff. From my understanding, it would be best to go HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Any tips?" That structure sounds relatively decent. I recommend Free Code Camp. I would just go follow this and you'll pretty much learn everything you need to know to get started with the basics. And it's free, so it's definitely recommend this. So, bam. So I can actually see what the insert command is. And here we're using what the default is. What's the default for createdAt? The default is now. So when I do select now, it works, but when the default runs, it does not work. So when it says session, it literally means like that connection or something. And so the session ends so quickly. So I actually can't do this fix. This hack, it doesn't work actually. And we can't alter the oh man, I deleted that. Can you change it to now.utc? So I can, but then I'm going to have to change it everywhere. So it is simpler to set the time zone. All right, let me just read over what we would have to fix to make this permanent. Okay, so we have to literally go into our Postgres conf and set it. So the only thing I don't like about this is I want to make a fix now to where I'm not going to have to do this when I'm deploying to production. So I think I want to pursue getting this other one working. There's the other one, alter database. So we don't have permission to alter the database. at least it only takes 2 seconds to write, so I can't complain too much that I deleted my own thing. I got a little excited that we had the solution. Alright, so I need to make this into a super user. We'll see if this is just a big mistake. Great. Alright, that seems to have fixed it, so. So now when I open this up and I say select now, excellent. Did not mean to go that far. Should probably not close all the tabs quite yet. But we're feeling pretty confident about this. Select. Bam, we now have UTC time. All right, well, this is perfect. Perfect timing because I'm ready to take a lunch break and we got that working. So set time zone to UTC for database. I'm gonna have to pull in stuff. All right, guys, I'm gonna take a lunch break, and then when I come back, we're gonna fix this stuff, push this stuff. I guess there's nothing to fix at the moment. It's now should be working, but I feel like we're gonna have a problem over here. Just guessing. Yeah, see how that says 5 hours ago? We're gonna have to work with the time zones of that. Alright guys, see you laters.